The people were pleased to see the actress and were excited to see her turn toward them, only to tell them to keep quiet. But it gets much worse than this.
Blake Lively's mystery witness was finally unsealed. And let's just say the smoking gun turned out to be a Dollar Tree water pistol with a cracked seal and no trigger. This was supposed to be the moment, the reveal, the court doc to end all court docs. And instead, it read like someone opened a side quest from an entirely different video game and tried to submit it as evidence. After all the hype, we find out the mystery witness is Claire Aub, writer-director of a totally unrelated film called Empire Waste. Not It Ends With Us, not the same crew, not even the same calendar year. And yet Blake's team marched into court, waved this thing around like it was a subpoenaed confession, and said it supported treble and punitive damages. Let me make this plain. A declaration from a completely different film is now being used to say, Justin Baldoni is a pattern, and the court is supposed to just go with it. This isn't how legal logic works. This is how middle school drama works. My enemy hurt someone else once, so now I deserve extra snacks in a parade. Come on. Claire's declaration claims she had repeated negative interactions and verbal abuse from Baldoni and his team during Empire Waste. And because of that, she asked that he not be on set and not involved in marketing. And Wayfarer agreed. End of flashback. That's the whole scene. But here's the thing. There's not one quote, not one example, no timeline, no description of what was said or done, no one to back up the claim. It's like someone scribbled bad vibes because he is a Sagittarius on hotel letterhead and mailed it to the court with a straight face. And it just so happens that this vague story drops right into the middle of Blake's own narrative about Baldoni, a narrative that, surprise, surprise, also spiraled into complaints about marketing. But here's where it gets even dumber. Claire apparently saw the negative narrative that was forming around Justin and how It Ends With Us was being marketed. You know, the floral-filtered wine glass in hand, date night flick rollout, and decided that was all the proof she needed to ban Baldoni from marketing her movie too. Except who was running that campaign? If my memory serves me correctly, I believe it was Ryan Reynolds and his company Maximum Effort. So now we've got Claire allegedly saying she didn't want Baldoni anywhere near her project, when in reality the tone-deaf promo came straight from the Reynolds PR machine. Nothing says gritty domestic violence drama like pastel florals, liquor branding, and a giggling lead actress twirling on TikTok. So let me get this straight. Baldoni gets blamed for how someone else's marketing looked, and then that exact marketing becomes the excuse to cut him out of another movie entirely. This isn't a pattern. This is projection with a press pass. You expect me to believe this fell into their lap naturally? Be serious. This isn't a coincidence. It's a casting call. Someone needed a narrative twin. Claire walked in holding a half-matching script, and they said, "Perfect. You're hired." Then there's the tape, the one piece of evidence that everyone is currently dying to hear. If you thought this was the moment we'd finally hear Baldoni say something incriminating, sit down, because he's not on it at all. Claire recorded a conversation with Wayfarer co-founder Steve Sarowitz. She says she feared pressure after requesting Baldoni stay out of marketing, so she recorded their meeting. Again, her legal right if applicable, but the point remains, Baldoni isn't in the room. Baldoni doesn't speak. The man this entire filing is supposedly centered around is MIA in the actual evidence. You're accusing a guy of abuse and submitting someone else's phone call as proof. That's not a case. That's a group chat with subtitles. And here's where I start asking the questions nobody wants to touch. Did Sarowitz mention Blake or Ryan on that call? Because if he did, that means people behind the scenes were already discussing Blake and Ryan long before this declaration got submitted. And if he didn't mention them, if Claire is the one who brought them up, then guess what? That means Claire already had Blake on her mind. Which raises another question. Did she find them, or did they find her? Because this recording didn't just materialize in Blake's lap like a fairy tale. Someone passed it along and it landed in the exact court filing where it could deliver maximum narrative value, not legal value. There is a difference. And let's not forget the audio is still sealed for some stupid reason. Sarowitz's team reportedly wants it unsealed in full, because Blake's side only included selective quotes. And if you've been paying attention to how this whole thing has played out, you know exactly why that tape is staying buried. If it actually helped Blake, it would have been playing on loop across TikTok, MSNBC, and a sound booth in the courthouse lobby by now. The fact that it's still locked up tells me all I need to know. So let's look at the scoreboard. Blake's team submits a declaration with no quotes, no timeline, and zero connection to the movie at the center of the case. They attach a recording that doesn't involve the accused. They imply a pattern using completely unrelated events, and they file it all under a motion for treble damages like it's some kind of mic drop. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni is out here saying nothing. No retaliation, no press conference, no dramatic Instagram captions, just absolute silence. And honestly, it's working because every time Blake's team opens their mouth, the case gets weaker. And it didn't stop there. We got even more filings, deposition bits from Blake's own hairstylist, her agent, and a Wayfarer exec, and none of them helped her case. Vivian Baker said everything on set was calm and professional during the later parts of filming. That directly undercuts any story about ongoing trauma. Her agent, Warren Zavala, confirmed that there were no continued issues after initial tensions. And Danny Greenberg from Wayfarer allegedly called Blake's strategy extortion. That's not a neutral word. That's a legal hand grenade. So now we've got a declaration from a different movie, a tape with no Baldoni, depositions that undercut the original claims, and a storyline that is held together with duct tape, vibes, and blank space. I'm gonna be honest, this doesn't look like legal strategy. This looks like narrative backfill. It's what happens when your original evidence doesn't hold up. So you start reaching sideways, hoping something sticks. And when that doesn't work, you reach again and again, until eventually you're standing in court presenting secondhand stories like they're firsthand truths. And that's why I'm Team Justin. Not because I think he's some flawless human being, but because the case against him is a leaky boat made of other people's anecdotes and no receipts. Claire's declaration doesn't prove anything except that Blake's team was looking for someone to say the quiet part for them, and this was the best they could come up with. If the worst accusation you can submit is that someone made a director uncomfortable during a separate project 2 years ago, and you can't even be bothered to say what was said or who heard it, then I don't know what you're doing in federal court. That's not evidence. That's theater. And if the most damning recording in your file doesn't include the person you're accusing, then congratulations. You've invented the courtroom version of a jump scare. Loud, distracting, and completely meaningless when the lights come on. And if that was the smoking gun, then someone forgot to load the damn thing. Oh yeah, can't forget this is all allegedly. I don't know Justin Baldoni or anyone associated with Wayfarer. Just my thoughts on the documents I've seen. That's my opinion.